Trevor White is a Canadian actor. Can you tell us a bit about the kind of acting you do?
There isn't much I don't do, I guess, as far as acting goes. There's theater, obviously, film work, television work, sometimes commercials, and even voiceover work, which is for radio or for television, or even sometimes animated shows where you lend your voice to those as well. So I've rarely said no to an acting job.
Did you always want to be an actor?
Well, it's something that I always loved to do, act, as a kid in high school and school plays, and in my spare time just playing around with friends, acting and improvising and that kind of thing. But I don't think I ever believed that I could or ever took it seriously to act as a profession, or for the rest of my life. So I went into university and took economics as a more practical thing to do, but I didn't really enjoy it, I guess, and ultimately, after university, I started taking some acting classes and really enjoyed that, and then started doing student films and fringe theater and unpaid work just to get experience in acting, and loved it, and then started doing it more seriously and got an agent and started getting proper acting jobs, and that was about 13 years ago.
What's the most difficult thing about preparing for a new role?
It really depends. When you do a play, for example, you have 3, 4, sometimes even 6 weeks to rehearse with the other people and the director and the props and everything. So you have a long time to learn your lines, to as it were, find the character. The memorization is the most like real work. That can be difficult, just memorizing lots of lines. But and in film and television, you don't have the benefit of rehearsal. You just show up and you're expected to know all your lines, and then you do it a few times, and that's it. So you have to be very disciplined and get all that ready in advance.
How do you learn your lines?
I have a dictaphone, actually, which I just record the other people's lines. Obviously in my voice. I don't do strange character voices because that would be weird. I just say their line, I stop it, I say my line, I play the next line. So you just basically record all the other lines in any given scene and play it back and just work through it slowly. It's amazing the difference it makes when the writing is good and it makes sense. It's much easier to memorize. But if sometimes you audition for a bad science fiction TV show or a horror movie or something, you often have a much harder time memorizing poorly written lines because they're just bad. But of course it's your job, so you do it.
Is there any role you've particularly enjoyed?
There's a few roles that I've played, or oftentimes when you do something, it's the whole experience of a job, not necessarily just the part you have in it. Earlier this year, I got to work for the Royal Shakespeare Company for the first time, and we did Coriolanus, one of Shakespeare's lesser performed plays, in Stratford, in Washington, in America, also in Newcastle here in the United Kingdom, and in Madrid in Spain for 5 months, which was amazing.
What's the most difficult role that you've ever had to play?
Well, I suppose this last role that I played is one of the most difficult parts, Tullus Ophidius in Coriolanus, because there were lots of things that were very demanding about the part. We had to do a huge sword and axe fight in the middle of the play, which I'd done stage combat before, but never anything like this. We were using they were blunt swords and axes, but they were still very large pieces of metal, and we had a couple of small accidents, but no major ones, luckily. I gave the other guy 3 stitches on his fingers at one point when he parried in the wrong place. That's my opinion, anyway.
Do you prefer working in the theatre or in film and TV?
I think theatre is the most satisfying work in acting oftentimes because you get to do it over and over again in front of a live audience. but it doesn't tend to pay as well as film and television, which is also fun, but not as glamorous as people might think it is, I guess.
So being an actor isn't really glamorous?
No, I don't think acting is a glamorous life, particularly in, well, I guess in any way. In theater, it's, you don't really earn that much money, and you work hard. And film and television work is, it can be a lot of fun. You can get to work with some famous people sometimes, or some very talented people that you admire, and that's a thrilling thing. And yeah, you get to shoot guns, or go on car chases, and all those things are really fun. But most of the time, the 90% of the day, even when you're doing exciting things, you're just sitting and waiting around. You're always waiting around. They're always fixing lights, setting up new camera positions, trying to figure out who's going where, when, and it takes them to film a proper, feature film takes months, and maybe in all that time, only 2 or 3 of those days, all told, is actually you doing anything. So, I think a lot of people get into extra work and stuff because they think, oh, this will be really glamorous, but you end up sort of reading a book about 9 hours a day. And I've never been on a red carpet, so I suppose I can't judge. That looks glamorous.